Welcome to day 1 of the inner child healing. When you heal your childhood, you heal your life. When you understand your childhood, you'll understand why you're living the life you're currently living, why you're attracting certain situations and people and circumstances, and whatever it is that's going on in your life is all a reflection of how you're programmed in childhood. I've spent my life working with people, assisting people transform their life. And what I will always go back to is some blueprint, some program that popped in childhood. So we're not often aware of who we are and how we're operating because it's just who we are. We can't really see ourselves because it's like, this is how it is. We don't view ourselves as being any different. We often put our beliefs and our judgments on others. Like people might say, I can't believe that person did that. And that is just because that's their belief system of what they grew up with about not believing what someone did to them. It's often, you see all the clues when someone speaks about what they're thinking and how they grew up and their belief system. So when you understand your childhood, when you heal your childhood, you have so much more power to transform your life. And this is why I will spend a lot of time in a healing or a workshop going back to the origin of information of why someone has pain, the pain they have, or why they have a bad situation with finances, relationships, or anything. It's all just a program. So when you understand it, you're more motivated to change, or more motivated to heal. You need to understand yourself. Now, to do that takes time, reflection, and a self-awareness. So how self-aware are you? Well, you'll find out. How self-awareness is really like standing back and looking at yourself, and as if you're looking at yourself on a video or watching yourself on a screen. And I highly recommend that you actually do video yourself in conversation, because when you look back, you go, is that me? Often you see some of those reality shows and people go, I can't believe I did that. They change because they can't see themselves. So we're going to be seeing you, looking at you with different eyes and understanding you so you can change. Because I can also promise you this, if you change your beliefs and you insert new beliefs to the things you want, you will get them. Easy as that. As soon as you have a different belief, life changes. Very easy in theory. It's actually the practical side that becomes difficult, because most of the time we are walking around in an unconscious state. We are not aware of what we're thinking. So it takes discipline to say, what am I thinking? And to override those thoughts. For instance, if you've been a victim in childhood, you'll see yourself saying, why me? Oh my God, they're mean to me. This is unfair. And you'll attract situations. You'll literally attract situations that, yes, they are unfair. However, if you have an energy of victim, then it comes to you. So it's about recognizing that you have to rise above, you have to grow spiritually. And if you want to know the purpose of your life, first and foremost is to grow spiritually, to overcome what you've endured, and that will lead you to your purpose and your destiny. Each day in this 14-day course, you'll receive a PDF, and it will have the background information and also an exercise that you need to complete. So if you don't make one of the days, just continue when you can. This course can be done as many times as you like, because it's never over understanding yourself. You have no idea the magnificence of yourself and how much potential and how much amazingness that's very restricted because of many things that you've been brought up in, such as school, the media, the government, your parents, your environment, your culture. It's very limited. And if you look at school and you think about how they teach you and how you're just traumatized often. You're just dumped in you're like 6 years old in the first year, and you're dumped in, you sit down in the class, and then there's no care for you, there's no care for your needs, and you're this tiny, fragile, very impressionable and very programmable kid. Shut up, sit down, do what you're told. And I've heard so many horror stories of people in their younger years at school. Nuns, this was mine, I was grade 2 or grade 1. The nun pulled up a boy, he's misbehaving, pulled down his pants in the middle of the class and beats him. We watched that. So could you imagine what that would do to that child? He already had a difficult childhood at home because his parents, I think, were struggling and didn't have much money. And he comes to school and gets beaten like that from a nun. And in fact, I did actually find out what happened to him. One day when I was in the Mormon church, I was doing some service work in a Salvation Army place where they gave out meals. And he turned up for a free meal. So that was kind of where I saw him probably 30 years later. Where he ended up was on the streets having to find meals at the Salvation Army. So all of these things define us. And unless we understand that we've been programmed to think a certain way, we don't understand why our life is functioning the way it is. So the first exercise for you today is understanding the foundation it was built on and understanding the lies you're told and seeing if you can understand what lies you were told, the things that you're not too sure about, and the truths. So you're going to need to pick apart. For instance, in the exercise, there is one where you need to go to school. Think about when you're at school. And think about, okay, so how did they teach you? What did they tell you? Well, they told you that you need to sit and think and reflect. You go, okay, so when I'm in school, they're telling me that I have to obey them. So that means that when you need to obey authorities, you go against your gut instincts. You go against who you are. You have to do what authorities tell you. Well, that's a lie, because if you think about authority figures, they're not all good figures, right? They're not all good people. So that's actually a lie to you being in your greatness. So you need to write down that a lie is that you have to follow authority figures. And you write that down. And you're going to go through each area of your life, your family, religion. So what does religion teach you? Religion teaches you that you are born in sin, so you're already bad. It teaches you the power is outside, it's in Jesus. It teaches you that you have to be like Christ to be worthy. And all of these things. So what I'm actually getting you to do is think. Most of us are taught not to think. So that's another thing. It's a lie. You're taught not to think. We're going to give you the information and you're going to accept it. Well, that's another lie. So the most important thing you can do in your life is start thinking for yourself. When you start thinking for yourself and then you combine that with your gut instincts, you start to wake up. And this is what I want you to do, is wake up to the lies you're taught. And then your parents might tell you you're stupid. You can't do that. No, you're not supposed to do that. A good girl doesn't do that, or a boy doesn't do that. Whatever it is, you're going to pull apart what they told you, because it's a lie. It's just programmed you to be restricted and to follow the norm. And maybe if you're a girl, often the boys are favored, so you're told it's told you that you're not good enough. The medical system teaches you that you have to go to the doctors and you have to obey them, and then you have to go take a pill instead of working out another way to take care of yourself. Well, maybe if you eat better, maybe if you start thinking you're well, because they tell you you're unwell, they'll tell you this is all your problems. And when they do that, they label you And then you walk around with these labels. So again, back in childhood, you've got to go and see what all these organizations and your family have told you are true, and work it out whether it's a lie or not. Now, if they told you you're precious, you're amazing, you're loved, yep, that's the truth. You can write down, yes, that's true. Your neighbors, if you've been abused, that's taught you that that is real soul destroying. So it's told you that you're just there to be used, that you're just indispensable, you're just there for someone's gratification. It really, really destroys part of who you are. In fact, sexual abuse, physical abuse is another, horror story for a kid, having to be physically beaten, and it's saying that you're bad, you're wrong, it's your fault, you're to blame, and you're unworthy. It's all these things that it's programmed you. So this is just a beginning to start to get you to go, oh, okay, so this is why I feel. You'll understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So I want you to work out the foundation that your life began on, because it's like a house. Weak foundation, weak life. And understand yourself, and that's great motivation to then understanding why you have to change this. I'll tell you an interesting one for me that it took me, I didn't even know this occurred. However, my father was a real estate agent, and he would come home from work and beat us. And also, he sexually abused me as well. So I've got a lot of energy on me, but I didn't know it had to do with real estate. So anytime I had any situation, and I only just realized this because it's not often you buy or sell a house or you have anything to do with real estate. It's not a common thing that you see all the time, but I realized that anytime I either bought or sold a house, I would go through extreme trauma, and the disaster would go down. In fact, I'd always buy it or sell at the worst possible time, in the economy. It's like the worst. It's like the prices go down, all this. And I noticed this pattern, and I thought, wow, why is it I've done this again? And why have I done? And I thought, oh, of course, it's the trauma that my father beat into me after he'd come home from work, and it was to do with buying or selling houses. He'd take his anger and frustration out on us as kids, and then it was in my cells. So it was quite an extraordinary revelation, but that's how deep this stuff goes, and this is how deep you start to understand how much on the matrix we are, how much of it we're just running programs. And I want you to be aware when you look at people that have a great life and great outlook and great self-worth, look at their parents. Or you'll see they've done a lot of work. You have to work. You can't just sit on the sideline and go, oh, it'll all work out. No, because you will default to your negative belief systems if you do not proactively change. I just love watching change. I love you evolving. I love you freeing yourself. And it's like you're pulling yourself off, the webbing. It's like you got to take that off. That's like that cord binding you back on the matrix. And you got to pull that off. And after a while, you keep like going forward, and these cords and strings and webbing that's bound you tightly on this matrix is freeing. And when you get to the point where you have no fear, when you get to the point that you go, of course I've got no fear, because I understand a totally law of attraction. I understand how all this works. I understand why if I attract something negative, I have the power to release myself. Now that is freedom. That is when you get to the point where you go, I am the power. And that's the journey that I want you to get to, because after everything I've done as founder of Forensic Healing and healing people and transforming my life, I still go deeper in understanding this, and I'm finally at the point that I really, really get it. And I thought I'd got it before. But you see, I'll go deeper again. I'm sure in a year's time, and I can't even imagine what that would be. So, complete exercise 1. What was the foundation, your foundation built on? Identify the truths and lies. So start filling that out. And listen, fill it out now, but be mindful of keep thinking of things during the day. And then go, oh yeah, that. So just keep an open mind throughout the day so you can add to this list, because it won't all come at once. And fill it out, and we'll chat tomorrow. Okay, so have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.